We've all got to die. But why not die in the most absurd and ridiculous way possible? Do not go gently into that good night, but head forcefully into this episode of Deep Bed Ride.
Deep Bed Ride!
You always want people dead, Scotty. You're always doing these death episodes. Death, death, death. Why are you so preoccupied
Is there
with
any
death all the
other
time?
destination at the end of your life, TJ, but death?
No. I'm saying, why are you so fascinated with death all the time, Scotty? Why are you so
Because
morbid,
humanity is fascinated with death, TJ. I talk about what people are fascinated with, TJ, which is why
No.
my episodes consistently outperform yours.
Scotty? No. I don't even think that's true.
Oh, you
I
don't think it's
that's
true, do you?
Nope.
Oh, interesting.
No.
Another interesting theory about from TJ. You know what, TJ? You know what these happened to this guy here, Jesse Rhodes
Yeah, he's dead.
and Peter Cesares, who were pilots?
Dead. I'm guessing they're dead.
I have a guess.
They're alive and well, TJ. Actually, this episode, I completely tricked you. This is near deaths, TJ. No, they're dead. They're
Damn.
worm food. I'm sorry.
Somebody farted in the cabin of the helicopter or whatever, and they got into an argument over who it was, and that's why they crashed.
Interesting guess, TJ. Do you want to make a guess about what happened?
I'm trying to figure out, is this a helicopter that crashed here?
This is a
Doesn't look-
plane. I will tell you
Okay.
that. It's a plane.
So it's a plane, and it crashed for sure. I'm assuming there's something unusual about the reason why it crashed.
If I was going to tell you, TJ, that would defeat the purpose.
I just want to see how much information I could squeeze from you before I made my guess.
I will give you nothing.
Okay. I mean, you already gave me that it was a plane, so.
Well, okay, I give you next to nothing. I give you the crash scene and the fact that it was a plane.
This guy was trying to pilot the plane with his fucking dick and balls.
He was trying to fly with his scrotum.
Yeah. He wrapped his scrotum around the fucking joystick or whatever the fuck it's called, and he pulled up. And the plane.
He took maybe he took cockpit literally.
Dude,
Yeah,
I like
that
how
was
both our guesses just revealed the deepest desires of our souls too.
Yeah,
I like farts, you like dicks and balls,
Yeah.
Know the truth of your soul. On October 14th, 2014, pilot Jesse Rhodes and co-pilot Peter Caesar were flying a passengerless 50-seat Bombardier CRJ-200 from Little Rock, Arkansas to Minneapolis, St. Paul when they decided to join the 410 Club. Now, you might wonder what that is.
Yeah,
What is
that?
the
Of course.
410 Club?
The 420 Club, in my opinion, much cooler and safer. But the 410 Club is an elite, off-the-record group of daredevil or retarded, stupid pilots like them who have pushed their CRJs to their 41,000 feet limit, exceeding speed recommendations and performing various unconventional maneuvers on their way up. The Gulfstream Academy trained pilots induced a stall warning and overworked the plane's engines. Unfortunately for this doomed duo, they also miscalculated their autopilot setting, and fun and laughter soon turned to panic and horror as, unfortunately for them, when you push a piece of equipment to its limits, sometimes the engines might, shall we say, fail. And in this case, both of the Bombardier's engines failed.
So was there passengers on the plane when they were
It
doing
was
this shit?
passengerless. So it was
Okay.
just them two.
So they weren't like doing this with like passengers and shit.
Well, I think
but-
people would have complained.
Right.
Like, what are you doing up there?
But they're basically up there like joyriding the passenger plane and like pushing it to its operational limits just to like be badasses and shit.
They
right?
didn't push it to its operational limit. They pushed it beyond
Right.
its operational
But
limit.
they were trying to push it to it.
Yes, they're trying to go as close to the edge as possible. And as thrill seekers, it happens with them sometimes. They push too far. And they went all the way over the edge. And in this case, all the way to the ground. Even then, if the pilots had let air traffic control know the severity of the situation, they might have been able to glide to one of the several nearby airports. Instead, the plane crash landed 2.5 miles from Jefferson City Memorial Airport, killing both men. Here's a comment from a Pinnacle training manager, which is the company they worked for. It's beyond belief that a professional air crew would act in that manner.
But yet there's a fucking club.
I mean, it's an unofficial club, basically.
Right.
It's just like
Yeah, like they're not encouraging this.
There's no like official like we are the 410 club. It's just like kind of like
it's kind of hard to go. It's unthinkable that anyone would do this when it's like a fucking kind of open secret that there's a whole club of people who do this.
That's them covering their ass. Let's be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I can't believe it.
What? How dare they do that? It's like, but of course we all know that. Come on.
There was probably some kind of major crackdown on this kind of behavior afterwards. That's probably slipped and become lackadaisical since then. So.
And I pulled a news story because I wanted to confirm each one of these tales because the internet's filled with bullshit.
Pilots in jet crash wanted to have a little fun.
You know, pilots just want to have fun, right?
Yeah,
that's all they want to do. They just want to have a little fun.
They did, I guess.
Yeah, they had, they had some permanent fun.
The transcript recounts their increasingly desperate efforts to restart the engine and regain altitude. They tried to land at Jefferson City, Missouri airport, but by 10:14 p.m. it was obvious they wouldn't reach it. We're not going to make it, man. We're not going to make it.
He was right.
Cesar has said the plane crashed in a residential neighborhood of Jefferson City. No one was injured on the ground. Accident investigators are examining how well the pilots were trained, a key safety question, as the number of regional jets keeps growing. The crash involved a Bombardier regional jet plane operated by Pinnacle Airlines, an affiliate of Northwest Airlines. Like many regional carriers, Pinnacle is growing rapidly as it teams up with traditional network airline looking to offer more seats to more places. Very comforting thought to know these guys might be piloting your next little puddle jumper.
Well, not these guys.
Oh, well, yeah, these guys, I can assure you will not.
These two particular assholes.
If these guys are piloting your next flight, you may be somewhere else besides reality.
You might be on a plane piloted by two other members of the fucking 410 club or whatever.
I mean, hey, if they're look, dude, if they're gonna fly like assholes, I'm glad they do it by themselves and not while they're fucking filled with passengers and shit.
Well, the next group of people I'm going to talk about, it's a spoiler. These people actually tragically died of boredom for making just terrible decisions.
Poor bastards.
Those are people who did not join the Pessimist Productions Patreon.
How stupid of them.
Our blatant shilling here. These people made an unfortunate decision to not do that, and many of them were found dead of boredom. Their families shocked.
Yeah, they chose inferior products. They decided to get like a Hulu or something.
Yeah, like let me get some like mainstream content.
Tepid corporate offerings from fucking mainstream TV channels. Like, oh yeah, the stuff my parents fucking watch between commercial breaks at their fucking shitty house. This is what I want to watch.
I would rather die of fucking up in my jet. You know what I mean? Than of boredom because I was too stupid to join the Pessimist Productions Patreon.
I just feel bad for those families. But let's move on. Mark Erinson, an astronomer.
What does this dude look like?
I know how he died.
Tell me.
All right, how did he die?
He loved his telescope so much that one day he lubed it up and crammed it up his ass to get a look at his fucking colon.
Oh, God.
Yeah, dude.
Damn, Paul, you're right.
And it ruptured his colon.
Just even bother with the story
just because he was an astronomer doesn't mean that he necessarily died doing astronomy. This guy looks like he heard from like a friend, like one of his little science buddies, that like scorpion venom in a small dosage, controlled amount of scorpion venom to apply to the tip of your penis just before orgasm would increase the potency of the orgasm. And so he starts doing it and he discovers he loves it and it gets out of hand. And eventually he just buys a fucking outright scorpion, which proceeds to sting his cock and balls many times. He has a terrible allergic reaction and he all the blood from his head rushes into his dick and balls and he dies.
It's crazy. You guys are both correct.
Wow.
Somehow.
Yeah,
you guys are both right.
So he stuffed up telescope up his ass.
That's how he finished. That's how the telescope thing was the finishing move. Was like then I jump my lubed up ass on the telescope and then I come. Yeah, so right.
Interesting story.
Yeah. So moving on.
Sorry to the friends and family of Mark Erinson, by the way.
So astronomers need to have a good understanding of the universe. Sure. I mean, right? It makes sense. Sadly, some of these highly qualified and trained individuals are still kind of absent-minded enough to forget the basic facts of spatial reality. I mean, that does happen, right? You cannot forget where you're at, what you're around, and what those things are doing.
The absent-minded professor trope, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Award-winning astronomer Mark Erinson, PhD, was working late at night on April 30th, 1987, at the Kitt Peak National Observatory in Tucson, Arizona, which he'd won an award I don't know what do you want to what do you win for article. Okay, well they didn't tell me, so fuck them. In order to ensure that the sky was clear enough of clouds for accurate viewing, the astronomer periodically stuck his head out of a hatch at the top of the dome. Bear in mind that one golden rule at the observatory was that you shouldn't check outside the dome when the telescope is in motion. However, in his eagerness to get a good view, Erinson disregarded this directive. Fortunately, though, the designers at Kitt Peak Observatory had idiot-proofed the telescope by making it shut down when someone opened the hatch. Unfortunately, the dome's momentum meant that it kept turning for a few seconds after being switched off. So it was that the access ladder on the side of the dome collided with the hatch, causing it to crush the unfortunate scientist. So this guy's got a PhD.
What a
probably,
dude.
He was probably a brilliant guy. Let's just be honest. But
what a dumbass astronomer.
And then also they have another speculative theory here in the article. Like to have scorpions sting the tip of his penis and then impaled himself on telescope to achieve orgasm. Believe whatever version you want. It's a post-truth reality anyways.
That's a very fucking cynical death this dude had. He's just like, he was so excited to like look at some astrological phenomena that he opens up the hatch all like, wow, I'm gonna look at the
science, amazing.
I love gazing up at the hatch. Ah! Dead. Here's the article to prove that it happened. Because Scotty, I feel you really feel like people are gonna be like, you made this up. Made it up.
Well, you gotta TJ, don't you like to have multiple sources? Because look, there's plenty of stories on the internet that if you check into them are total fucking bullshit. Our next story actually is an example of that. When I looked this up,
total bullshit.
No, they actually changed the woman's name to Tarma Fellman because of the next story. This is actually about someone that died on a roller coaster.
Okay.
A common theme here is people die doing what they love because obviously she was a roller coaster enthusiast. So witnesses, this is June 3rd, 2003. Witnesses saw a woman virtually standing up, so she was standing up. I don't know why you had virtually to the fucking, it's unnecessary. So she was standing up while riding a roller coaster at an amusement park. Moments before she fell to her death. Shocking. Standing up on a roller coaster can be deadly. Tarma Fellner, 32, fell from the ride Saturday while it was in the midst of a 69-foot drop. Holy shit, said officials at Holiday World Park. Never heard of the park. Just before the accident, a person matching Fellner's description was seen in the last car on the roller coaster, virtually standing up while the ride was in progress, investigators said, based on witness accounts. I'm starting to laugh at someone's death, but you can't stand up on a fucking roller coaster. Fellner from New York City was among a group of roller coaster enthusiasts riding the Wooden Raven roller coaster at the park. So this is probably a famous enough coaster where people come to ride this fucking.
I mean, it's an old wooden coaster. Those are usually pretty.
Oh, those are rickety as shit. Yeah. But you know what? You could definitely stand up on one. You could definitely do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much prohibiting you. Like
I don't know.
On modern roller coasters,
zooms under the pilings and shit.
I'm just saying there's nothing really preventing you because there's the only thing those coasters have is that bar.
The lap bar, yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy to subvert that fucking thing. You know,
and plenty of people. I've seen people do it before. It's so fucking stupid, but I've seen people do it. I mean, they didn't stand up though.
Like modern day roller coasters, they got you like in on that fucking vest thing.
Depending on how you ride it, there's some crazy ones because like there's roller coasters. Like I've been on ones where like they basically put you up like so you're vertical, then you're fucking horizontal. To ride them. But I mean, obviously you're really strapped in for that. You can't even get out if you wanted to.
Right. You don't have the ability on like a modern day high octane kind of roller coaster. You don't have the ability to
how many people would be
up
killed?
On the fucking ride anytime you want.
Yeah, because how many people would die if you could?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be so many. So she was seated in the last row of the 6-car train, and a preliminary investigation showed her seatbelt and lap bar were buckled and locked when she started the ride. So of course, they check you. It's like, I'm good. Then, of course, witnesses then told investigators that her seatbelt was unbuckled when the car returned to the station, and a statement issued by Spencer County prosecutor John Dart.
Dude.
Or Dart. I can't read that one.
It's all good.
Inspectors on Sunday found the seatbelt and the restraint bar where Fellner had been sitting had been working properly. So they checked it to make sure, like, did it malfunction? Is it all possible she's not an idiot that killed herself standing up on a ride? No, she was an idiot.
Dude, she was actually a member of an American coaster enthusiast group.
Yes.
which he was at the amusement park for a park-sponsored Stark Raven Mad event.
Well, she actually was.
So
Because she decided it was a good idea to stand up on a roller coaster.
She was a roller coaster enthusiast. Once again, thrill-seeking behavior leads to the exact conclusion you would imagine it would.
It almost always does.
Yeah, every single one of these people, so far at least, was in pursuit of their dreams, you know? There was the pilots who just wanted to fucking, like, let's join the 410 Club and do all kinds of crazy stuff in our plane because we're fucking awesome, crazy, thrill-seeking pilots, bro.
Yeah, there's the astronomer who just had to lube his telescope up and ram it up his fucking ass to achieve orgasm.
That's with that scorpion venom and shit. And then fucking Tamar Fellner, dude, who fucking stood up on the roller coaster because it wasn't thrilling enough
and dropped 70 feet.
In.
Yeah, dropped 70 feet to her death.
I wonder how was the fall to your death thrilling, Fellner?
I'm sure it probably was. I mean, it was probably fearful, but it's also like, well, it's the ultimate thrill. This is why you get scared. Isn't that not why you get scared on a roller coaster? It's like, oh, what happened to this fucked up? It's not. It's probably not going to. But
is this like one of those? This is like one of those. You could like get a glossy of this shit. Put it in your like little haunted shit museum. Be like, this picture is haunted. It is
Sam Wardell killed by his own alarm clock.
Shit.
So Sam Wardell was a lamplighter in Flatbush, New York, in the 1880s. His job involved turning on the street lamps when night fell, and then turning off when dawn came. Of course, it's not an easy job to wake up so early every single morning. An alarm that could easily be snoozed was obviously not enough for the task. So he developed his own personal system, his own alarm system, to guarantee that he'd wake up for sure. He connected a usual alarm clock by wire to his shelf, and then put a 10-pound stone on the shelf. So, I mean, that's right. You know, the shelf's going to fall down. And this way, when the alarm went off, the shelf will be dragged down with the fall of the heavy stone, making a sound that'll be just almost impossible to sleep. There's no way you're going to sleep through it. The system worked pretty well until one day he killed himself with his alarm. So, I mean, it's a good system. Definitely going to wake you up. Unfortunately, if you happen to be underneath it, it's probably not a place you'd want to be. For a Christmas party, actually is where he died. So for a Christmas party, which he was invited over, Sam moved the bed in order to accommodate the party. So he's having a Christmas party, so he moves his bed. And of course, he moves it underneath his alarm. After the celebration, he was so drunk and tired that he decided he was going to place his bed under the shelf. The next morning, as usual, his alarm went off. But this time, the shelf and the 10-pound stone fell right onto his head, killing him instantly, of course.
Wow.
I actually was able to source this as well.
Yeah, because I would have, if you didn't have a source, I would just be like, this is a fucking urban legend or whatever.
Wardell's alarm clock from an 1880s issue of the New York Times.
I mean,
there she blows.
Paper of note, I guess.
I guess it was on Christmas Eve. Sam Wardell, a lamplighter of Flatbush, on Christmas Eve, had a party of friends at his little shanty. I love the way they used to write shit.
At his little shanty.
Where he lived by himself. They had beer and chowder, and during the merriment, shifted his bed from one side of the room to the other, and then was spludging by his own alarm clock.
Whereby his alarm clock that he'd modified with a boulder went off and crushed his stupid fucking
But that's
head.
why you gotta have another source, TJ, because you'd be like, it didn't happen. It's like, well, the New York Times says it does. Want to see the New York Times?
Fake news. And
Look.
now his ghost haunts this picture.
Actually, it said that you can see.
It said that if you stare at the picture too long, a rock will bludgeon your head the next time you sleep.
Well, you have to wait till dawn, TJ. Dawn in Flatbush, you can see Sam Wardell still lighting the lamps all these years later.
Can you still see him fucking coming up with a stupid idea to hang a fucking rock over his head when he slept?
Yeah, I guess you can see that too.
Paul, this one is a risk for us, dude.
Killed by his own beard.
I mean, this dude does have way more beard than either of us will likely ever have, though. So
true. I mean,
I'm
it's like,
guessing that played a role.
I would say you're right.
I'm
did he
guessing
hang himself
he was
with it or something.
He was greasing up his partner with some fucking period sex lube. Right, which like wasn't silicone based or whatever. Like. Modern sex lube is. It was like lamp oil, and his beard got soaked in it.
Okay.
And after they were done fucking and shit, they lit up a smoke and his beard was like a wick. And it just like literally just his whole fucking head went up and he died.
Well, here's what I think happened.
Okay.
I think he was walking down the street with a friend when they had a gentleman's bet. It's like, I bet you could not use your beard as a lasso and rope that horse passing by. He's like, nonsense, of course I can. And he did it. And he gets the lasso and he throws around the horse's neck. He's like, I've won. But then the horse is spooked and runs off. He drags him down the street. By the time they fucking catch up to the horse, there's barely anything left of poor fucking Hans Sturbinger or whatever the fuck.
Fake
Steininger.
news.
Yeah.
Hans Steininger. So it's Braunau am Inn, a town in Austria bordered by
Sky, which one of us is right? Because those are the only two explanations.
You're actually both correct again.
Wow.
It's insane. You guys are uncanny at this, but I'll read the fake version for people that want to know that.
Okay.
Is famous for two people, TJ. One is Hans Stinginger, and another is, maybe you've heard of him, it's Adolf Hitler.
Both famous primarily for their facial hair, too.
He was actually the town's mayor in the 16th century.
Wow.
And I think the townspeople...
Both in politics.
Yeah, I think the townspeople probably want to remember, Hans a little more than Adolf.
Maybe not. He might have had some shit. He did, too.
By all accounts, he was a well-liked mayor. He had a famously long and well-groomed beard of around 137 centimeters. In American, that's 4.5 feet.
Wow.
That stretched down to the ground. He usually carefully rolled it up and tucked it in his pocket. So he basically would carry his beard in his pocket, which makes sense if you got a 4.5-foot beard.
I got one hand in my pocket and the other one's full of beard.
Other one's full of beard, yeah.
Yeah.
However, on September 9th, in 1567, there was a big fire in Braunau am Inn that made everyone run around in panic. Oh, fire, fire, fire! Which, having a long beard in a town full of panicking people is probably a detriment to you. Amidst the chaos, so you guys were actually not that far off. Hans Stinginger beard came out of his pocket and started flying loose from its usual confines. As he was running down the stairs, Hans stumbled on his own beard and tripped. Consequently, he fell. Consequently, he fell down the rest of the steps and broke his neck. I don't know why this is so funny, but I do. This happened to me when I was doing the research too.
His own beard.
He tripped on his. He ran. Look, he was scared. There was a fire. He ran down the stairs. He tripped on his own beard and falling, broke his neck, and he died.
Oh man.
So you guys are, look, Paul, you've wanted that long, luxurious beard. I think you would have grown it, Paul. But if you gotten this long,
you know what?
It could have killed you.
This is a case of fucking hubris, right? Let this be a lesson to us. Don't go too crazy.
A man who was killed by his own beard.
Because this thing, I want it long, but you know what? When it gets down to about here, even if I could grow it longer, be like, I'm gonna grow it 4.5 feet, like fucking Hans Steininger. I'm gonna remember the fucking parable of what happened to him.
Like, it's like Icarus, dude. He flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, I'll get out those scissors and be like, snip, snip, snip. No, this is the line. No further past this.
Otherwise, what happens if this town catches fire, TJ? What are you gonna do? You're gonna go, you'll be running around like, oh shit, no!
My clumsy ass. My clumsy ass would not need no fire or something. I'd be walking on the sidewalk. I'd trip on my beard. I'd fall into a fucking face first into an oncoming car and get fucking spattered, and that'd be it.
But TJ, I ask you this: did this man die? Some forgotten footnote in history?
Obviously,
the
not.
Town people going, who was the mayor again? No, TJ. 9, TJ. After the incident, the townspeople built a monument on the wall of St. Stephen's Church in honor of their beloved mayor. Before the funeral, they also cut off the mayor's long beard and preserved with chemicals, displaying at a local history museum.
Gross.
And in fact, TJ, you can see the beard. There it is.
Behold.
You can witness the beard in person.
His stank ass beard.
There you go.
Dude, who wants to see his stankin' ass, dead ass beard, man?
Apparently, people who visit this museum, I guess. Somebody.
In 2008, 46-year-old David Monk was on a holiday he was in Versailles, Italy with a group of friends. After having a few beers one evening, David and his group of friends decided to steal a protective mat that covered the metal barrier at the bottom of the slope and use it as a sled. What a great idea, right? They hiked up the hill, hurled themselves down it, and then promptly slammed straight into the same very barrier they'd stolen the protective padding from. And unfortunately for David, that was a deadly decision, and he was killed.
So there was a padded wall.
Yes.
So that no one was killed. They stole the padding.
At the bottom of the slope. So it's probably supporting like a ski lift or something or whatever.
And then they rode the padding down the hill.
Yes.
Whereby they were killed by the very thing they had stripped the padding from.
And this man had reproduced too. He had at the time.
So he's not a Darwin Award winner then because he had offspring.
He had offspring. Yeah.
So he was not removed from the gene pool. His genes carry on. Hopefully his kids learn something.
Actually getting the thing. They both died. Tragically died in ski accidents as well.
Well, tragic in one sense, but a bullet dodged for the collective humanity, you know?
I guess
yeah,
so,
the moral of the story being, if you're gonna, that padding is there for a reason.
No shit.
You see padding somewhere, they probably did it for a reason. And this is Eric Barcia, and he took a leap of faith.
Arrested man 22 dies after using bungee cords to jump off trestle.
So, I mean, in theory, he had a good idea. So a 22-year-old Reston man was found dead yesterday after he tried using a bungee cord, the stretchy little ropes with hooks on each end, to bungee off a 70-foot railroad trestle, police said. So it makes sense, right? I can tell you the short version of it. Basically, he figured out it was 70 feet down. He just forgot that bungee cord stretches. So he counted himself out 70 feet. And then he jumped off the railroad trestle and he hit the ground because he didn't take into account the fact that it stretches.
He didn't take into account that it stretched?
No.
That's like that's the entire thing that makes it the property of bungee cord, though.
This is a Darwin Award here, for sure.
This is 100% Darwin
Unless
Award
he
winner.
reproduced, because remember, one of the rules
I don't think he did.
You can't have reproduced, because if you have, then you've succeeded by Darwinian fucking standards. But he was 22, so
he probably didn't get around it. Maybe.
Maybe.
And he was also a fast food worker. If that makes any difference.
I don't want to be classist about anything.
I mean, and he hit pavement.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't count out the right amount of rope or bungee cord or whatever the fuck, that's gonna happen. Who the fuck tries to rig something like this on their? I mean, I guess this guy.
I mean, yeah, he decided he could rig it. I mean, I don't know how he was able to figure out how many feet there were to the ground, but not also factor in that it has to stretch. You have weight. You're adding weight to it. So there has to be a distance between you and the ground that's sufficient for you to...
What's this? He was very smart in school. His mother told me he got good grades and was responsible at work, said Kalinsky 79.
I don't approve of bungee jumping.
This is his grandmother. It's he was very smart.
I think it's dangerous. I think it's deadly.
I think bungee jumping is dangerous. Yeah, when you get your... Wait. You cannot fucking say that bungee jumping in general is dangerous. I mean, it is obviously comes with risk, but it's not risky in the same way that getting your own bungee cord and trying to figure out some fucking bullshit to I'm going to jump off this trestle with a homemade bungee device.
You know what, though? He lived with freedom. He died doing what he loved.
There's a big difference between that and something that's actually run by people who know what the fuck they're doing.
If you want to bungee jump, you kind of want to know what you're doing. It's one of those things where it's I'm going to go skydiving. You ever been skydiving? No, let's just put some parachutes on and just jump out.
I think I understand. I've seen some cartoons where a parachute was used. I understand the general principle of a parachute.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I get it.
I'm good. Let's go up there. Fuck.
Let's fly me on up.
Stuff this parachute in this backpack real quick. It looks good.
I mean, in this episode, this is dumbest ways to die. If you're wondering if we can make more of these, obviously, or do people still exist? Then the answer is yes.
Well, yeah. So if you want more, let us know down below. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Deep bad fight. Deep bad fight. Deep bad fight. Deep bad fight.